I want to talk first about what's going on in terms of deregulation, because until the Republicans can get their act together, which may happen any day, to attempt to repeal, because they're running out of time. They need to pass a budget. And before they do, they need to come to some type of agreement on how they're going to screw over the American public. In the meantime, New York Times had a piece where they basically collected the more than 90 Obama-era federal regulations that have been revoked or delayed or enforcement suspended. And this is the nice part about it. In many instances, based on requests from the industries the rules target. Isn't that sweet? On a nearly daily basis, regulated industries are now sending in specific requests to the Trump administration for more rollbacks, including recent appeals from 17 automakers to rescind an agreement to increase mileage standards. Another from a pharmaceutical industry figures to reverse a new rule that tightens scrutiny over the marketing of prescription drugs for unapproved uses. Let me explain what that means. Let's say you have an opioid that was developed specifically for cancer patients so that they could deal with either the stress, the physical pain from a post-operative procedure, or from chemo. Then what happens is, because it's an approved drug, and you have regulations that are not terribly tight or enforced, sales reps go to the doctors and say, hey, man, this stuff is a lot less addictive because of the way that we formulate it than typical opioids. You can use this if somebody's got stomach pain. You can use it if they've got, a sprained ankle. And then you get a massive amount of opioid addiction in this country. That's basically what happened with the abuse of these opioids. It's a function of that off-label marketing.
I think a more typical, not that is untrue what you just said, but a more typical off-label prescription would be, so some antidepressants, they'll say you can use this for anti-anxiety and you can use it for fibromyalgia and you can use it for, and no real studies have been done, but it's just that.
It's all anecdotal.
Yes.
And it's just the drug rep who's saying like, hey, I had a doctor in, down the road who said that they're using this drug to treat X, Y, or Z. You should give it a try. And this is the way it goes. And then the drug rep.
That's true off-label. And although it might,
this
like saying fibromyalgia for something that was tested for and approved for depression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these regulations, a new rule which was going to tighten scrutiny over this, and specifically, I think, as a function of opioids. The automaker's request for a rollback was about to be granted, according to reporting on Friday. Congress, with Trump's approval, has erased 3 Obama-era rules last month, lifting regulations related to coal mining, oil and gas exploration, as well as the sales of guns to mentally ill. We've talked about that. Signed executive orders directing agencies to pursue the reversal of other rules, including a requirement that financial advisors act in the interest of their clients. This one has taken years to get.
I feel like if you implement that rule, people won't take responsibility for their finances.
No, they won't.
Yeah.
They'll all just rely on the guy that they're going to actually be working in their interest.
They'll have a hammock of financial advice.
Indeed. And, of course, you've heard about the drinking water rule that has been rolled back. So you'll have just a slight more coal sludge, maybe in your drinking water. New White House appointees at the agencies include the FCC. And the FCC just rolled back a rule that broadband carriers don't need to spend as much time worrying about protecting your data. SEC will be nullifying the rule that corporations publish tallies comparing chief executive pay with the average employee wages. That was a function of the Business Roundtable, led by Jamie Dimon, who had a list in February of 16 rules. It was a wish list that it wanted killed. Including not only that CEO one, but a rule intended to curb the trade in minerals that might benefit militant groups in parts of Africa. At least 10 of those on that list are already in the works to be repealed.
Minerals are a big deal. I
Well,
mean, those are, and we know, and it's not just diamonds we're talking about. We're talking also about what makes our iPhones. There's essential minerals in Congo.
And you don't want the idea that somehow you're helping a brutal dictator in any way inhibit your ability to get this stuff.
Well, you know what's amazing, though, is that those rules came into place. Like, forget just even the standard issue United States and corporations are cozy with brutal dictators. They obviously are. But it was so obscene with groups like Charles Taylor and the RUF in Sierra Leone, basically like as a policy going to villages and hacking off children's arms, right, that they implemented like this bare minimum of oversight over diamonds. Like, that's basically what they're getting at.
See, Michael, what you're missing is if these bankers and investment people and hedge funds, they're able to give the proper funding, it won't have to be hacking off of children's arms. They'll be able to shoot the kids so that you don't have to walk around without arms.
Right. And then that's what happened.
Now they'll have the proper weapons.
I think you're a little off target there, but I would say that if we don't support the RUF and hacking off kids' arms, then there'll be an even worse group.
You don't want that to inhibit our economy in any way.
Well, there you go.
These type of regulations which inhibit disruption in the market. Who knows? Maybe they'll go on. Maybe they'll hack off those kids' arms and somebody will develop a new type of bionic arm.
Well, that was, I think, Charles Taylor was.
That's called creative destruction.
Charles Taylor was definitely a disruptor.
Isn't acquiring the minerals dangerous in and of itself? And they need small children to go into the...
That I know. I mean, that could be. I don't know specifically about that, but that could totally be the case.
That's something I read a long time ago. I can't...
And here's the good news. Lawyers representing the National Mining Association, the American Petroleum Institute, and other fossil fuel trade groups and companies. And we're putting aside like the things like, the Dakota Access Pipeline and Keystone Pipeline. Have asked the Interior Department February 17th to suspend a new rule changing the way these companies pay royalties for oil, gas, or coal extracted from federal lands. In other words, the money that they're going to have to pay us for extracting our resources, that's going to be waived.
That's on the house.
And the good news is, folks, we're going to see a huge boon to our economy because Ryan Zinke, the Secretary of the Interior, arriving Thursday for his first day in the position, I think he actually rode a horse.
Was it a pale horse?
No, I think he literally rode a horse. He revoked a rule against lead-based ammunition on federal lands. Isn't that helpful?
Well, if we don't let a little bit of lead in, then there'll be even more lead.
I have a feeling it has to do with when the bullet hits the elk. Because it's lead, it'll flatten and take out more. I have a feeling that's what it is. Yes, now then you have lead, of course, in these federal lands, and lead's not terribly healthy, and it might get into the water streams. But you get a little bit of margin of error when you take that shot.
Right.
Mike Weaver, a poultry farmer and president of a small farm group called the Organization for Competitive Markets, said he was concerned about pushback against a rule that would make it easier for chicken farmers to sue chicken processors. You wouldn't want chicken farmers to have any type of ability. You know, this is where monopsony comes in, right? Where these purchasers have all the power over these chicken farmers. So they force the chicken farmers to do all sorts of. I've seen a film on this, which I also think now is going to be illegal, right? I mean,
The documentary itself.
I actually think that you're not allowed to do
because they're going to ban doing
surreptitious
undercover. Oh yeah, no, there's absolutely.
So the effective dates of at least 75 rules have been delayed as a result of a broad-based order issued on the day of the inauguration. That includes a measure to intend to prevent potentially toxic formaldehyde exposure in homes caused by certain furniture products, an effort that's been underway since victims of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 were moved into contaminated government-issued trailers. So there it is, folks. I mean, before a single major piece of legislation is passed, you're seeing the degradation of our regulatory state, which, of course, is going to explode the economy. Now that there's going to be able to be lead in federal parks, man. Damn. Good times. It's going to be good times for everybody. And this is just going to get worse. And you can go back and listen to our interview with Sam Bagenstos about what happens to these agencies in terms of the personnel. Remember, you know, a lot of these people who work at these agencies went there because you go to the Environmental Protection Agency because you want to protect the government, the environment. I'm talking like the middle management, civil servants. You go to these agencies because you're actually interested in the mission of the agency. And this is where we are. FCC, like I said on Wednesday, halted new government rules related to data security from taking effect this week in a potential prelude to broader repeal of privacy protections for users of high-speed internet. It was a 2-to-1 party line vote. The Republicans have 2, Democrats have 1. Net neutrality is next, incidentally, folks. That's going to come next. Hey, everybody, Sam Seder here.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. Believe me. It's true.
It is true, and you can subscribe to this channel by subscribing to this channel. It's true.